Hey guys, I'm Nicole. We're getting ready to jump into another hour-long sequence, super playful, funky, some challenging things that we'll throw in there today. Before we get started, just want to say thank you again for really the beautiful response to these videos. It's been such a joy, so much fun. And really the hope for this channel is that I get to practice with you guys wherever you're at in the world through an online platform so that someday we can maybe meet and practice together in person. I'm launching several retreats, workshops, trainings, things in the books that I'd love for you to stay tuned for. So if you haven't already, find me on Instagram and please send me a message. It's Nicole Wild Collective is my handle, and I try to do my best to respond to every message that comes in because I genuinely do love connecting with the people who are practicing with me and hearing what you guys want. So send some suggestions and things that you want to play with in practice. You can also subscribe to my mailing list, which is on my website at NicoleWildCollective.com, and I'll put all of that in the comment box below. But let's get started. We're gonna start in a child's pose. Okay, so find your child's pose by walking the knees apart, so towards the edges of the mat. Knees wide, big toes together. Sink the hips on top of the heels and then walk the arms out long in front of you. And then what I'm gonna invite in this child's pose is that you walk the knees even a little bit farther apart than you normally might. So bringing some big opening into the hips and creating space for the belly to soften between the thighs. And then activating just a little bit the child's pose by walking fingertips towards the top of the mat. So you're inviting some length down the side bodies into the intercostal muscles, which help us breathe. And then rest the forehead on the floor. In that place where forehead meets floor, can you soften there? And I encourage, as you land here and as the layers of you begin to settle and to arrive, that you invite in a really deep belly breath, filling the lungs so much that they hug into the heart space. And then open the mouth for the exhale, release. Can you soften the heart towards the floor, maybe even a little bit more so that we're opening up into the shoulders and letting these first moments of stillness be an opportunity to check in with body and to check in with the heart space and the mind space, knowing that this practice, we're going to move a lot, but it's not just movement for the sake of moving. It's letting energy and letting the things that we bring to our mat from our daily lives, it's letting those things move through. Letting it move through so that we can finish the practice and go back out into our day a little bit more present and with a little bit more ease and connection. Last big cycle of breath here, maybe bringing to mind something that you'd like to call into your practice to move through. Open the mouth for an exhale. And really start to engage in the finger pads and the knuckle pads. We're going to keep the hands rooted where they're at, and we're also going to keep the knees rooted where they're at. So the knees should be pretty wide. On your inhale, we're going to roll up into a super wide-legged tabletop position. Round the back body as you come up, so you're pressing the floor away. And then roll the shoulders onto the back body as you drop the belly and the hips down and forward. You might peel the toes up off the mat. If this is too much for the low spine, you can keep the legs extended long. Kind of a funky back bend heart opener. We're going to roll back and forth a couple times. So on your inhale, straighten out the arms. Roll the hips back to the heels, belly softens between the thighs. And then let your inhale, the rebound, carry you right back up, knees stay wide. Roll the shoulders onto back body as you drop the hips down and forward, and like you're threading the heart through the shoulders. With your inhale, come back up through center, movement with breath here. Exhale, hips to heels. One more time, inhale, come right back up, round through the back body as you come up. And then once shoulders stack, then roll the scapula onto the back body as you drop the hips down and forward and pull the heart through. Inhale to come back through center. This time we're going to pause in a neutral spine, kind of shimmying the knees in to center so that they're hip width distance apart. And then just take a little bit of a rock with the hips from side to side. Getting some movement into the outer hips, some length into the outer hips, and then also kind of neutralizing the low spine. Let's come back through neutral, wrists underneath the shoulders. With your inhale, kick the right leg long behind you, right foot is flexed. And then on your exhale, you're going to bend into the elbows, let the chin and chest tap the floor. Ground into finger pads, knuckle pads as you press back up. Pull the right knee to nose, and then lift the left knee from the mat. Drop the left knee back down to the floor. As you kick back, bend into the elbows, chin and chest to the floor. Press into finger pads, knuckle pads. As you come back up, right knee to nose, also lift the left knee from the mat. And then soften left knee down, kick the right leg up, chin and chest to the floor. On your exhale, this time we're going to press back up. Keep the left knee grounded, but bring the right knee to nose. And then we're going to drop the right knee behind the left knee, sending the hips to the back of the mat, kind of like a child's pose / cow face pose collaboration. Walk the fingertips even a little bit longer. Just one more moment to arrive into the shape. And then let the inhale carry you up. Wrists underneath the shoulders. Unravel the right knee to tap the outside of the right shoulder. So really compressing into the right hip joint. Hold. Curl onto the ball of the left foot and lift the left knee. Active press the floor away. With your inhale, kick all the way back, three-legged down dog. Right toes sweep high. Shift the right shoulder down, shift the right hip down. And then on your exhale, right knee across the body, left elbow. Pause here and hold it. We're going to straighten through the right leg, set the outside edge of the foot on the floor. And then just for a moment, kind of bend and straighten into the right leg. Maybe opposite, bend and straighten into the left knee, kind of rolling into the outer right hip. And then with both legs straight, right foot off to the left side of the mat, we're going to drop the right hip to the floor and pivot to the left. So we've landed in our wide-legged straddle. Start by planting the hands between the thighs, fingertips between the thighs, active point the toes forward. Sit up tall, and then you're going to play with hovering the right foot above the floor just an inch. And then right foot drops, and then left foot lifts. And then left foot drops. You're either going to alternate back and forth here, or you're going to play with pulsing both feet off the mat at the same time. Starting to build some heat in the lower core and the hip flexors, a little bit into the psoas. And then drop the heels back down. Flex the toes back as you walk the hands forward. Heart softens towards the mat. As you fold forward, check that the toes stay pointed up towards the ceiling. So you're not rotating the femurs in the hip socket, which would then bring the toes in. Keep them pointed up. And then soften the heart towards earth. For this last cycle of breath, drop the head so that the chin pulls in towards the chest. You're bringing length down the whole back body and into the base of the skull, the muscles around the occiput. With your inhale, come back up through center. We're going to pivot back to the right, planting the right hand at the right hip. And then coming up into our fallen star by pressing into the outside edge of right foot, left fingertips sweep high. Keeping the right leg straight, take a bend into the left knee. So now you're kind of just dropping the right hip towards the floor. Sweep the left fingertips forward. And then we're going to come all the way through center, left hand plants. Kick the right toes back, three-legged down dog. Keeping the right toes lifted, we're gonna kind of scoop forward towards an upward dog. So take a bend into the elbows as if you were trying to come down towards dolphin. But before the elbows meet the floor, roll the heart all the way through, landing with the tops of the toes on the floor, and pause. Shoulders roll onto the back body, so like you're threading the heart through the shoulders. Drop the knees to the floor. From the tailbone, ripple the spine back, landing in your tabletop position, wrists underneath the shoulders. Start to take some circles on the wrists. We're starting to warm up into the wrists. Flip the hands around so that fingers point towards the knees, and then just start to take a shift forward and back. If it's uncomfortable, great, breathe into it. If there's any sharp pain, back out of the pose, maybe try one wrist at a time. There's a lot of bones that make up the wrists, and anytime there's lots of bones, it means there's lots of joint spaces, and so we need to be careful to protect them. Come back through center, backs of the hands to the floor, fingers point towards each other. The last one here, take a little shift side to side. See if you can open your hands wide enough that all 10 fingernails are on the mat. And then back through center, just to give our wrists a break for a moment before we come to the other side with our sequence, we're gonna walk the hands forward. Keep the knees underneath the hips, just dive the heart towards the floor. See if you can keep rooted, all 10 finger pads and knuckle pads. And the idea in this shape is that the heart would reach the floor before the chin would. Big exhale. Let it feel good. And then we'll come back up through center, wrists underneath the shoulders. Okay, we get to do that one again. Kind of a fun one, fun little warm up sequence. Inhale to kick the left toes long behind you, left foot is flexed. On your exhale, pull the left knee to nose, and as you do, lift the right knee up off of the mat. So active press the floor away. Drop the right knee back down. As you kick the left leg back, bend into the elbows and let the chin and the chest soften towards the floor. Left glutes are engaged. As you press back up, lift the right knee and pull the left knee to nose. Active press the floor away. Couple more, soften the right knee down as you do, so it's all one motion. Left toes lift, bend into the elbows, chin and chest tap. Take your time in the transitions. We're not rushing through the shapes. As you press back up, lift the right knee, left knee pulls to nose. One more time, right knee softens down as you kick the left leg back, elbows graze the rib cage. And then on your exhale, right knee stays grounded. Press up, left knee pulls into the nose. So it's as if you're trying to press the back of the heart towards the sky, like you could clamshell the back of the rib cage open. On your inhale, kick the left leg back, and then soften the left knee behind the right knee and send the hips back towards the heels. Walk fingertips maybe even a little bit longer towards the top of the mat. Let the inhale carry you back up, wrists underneath the shoulders as you unravel the left knee to tap the outside of the left shoulder. And then holding here, lift the right knee up off the mat. Really press the floor away, so you're lifting up and out of the shoulder sockets. With your inhale, kick the left leg back, find your three-legged down dog, and really sweep the left toes high as you also kick the right heel towards the floor. So it's like you're trying to draw one long line from the right heel out to the left toes. On your exhale, left knee comes over to the right elbow. Take a pause here. And then straighten out through the left leg, setting the outside edge of the foot on the floor. And then we're just kind of bending and straightening with the left knee, maybe even also with the right. Sending some love into the outer left hip IT band. Come back through neutral. We're going to drop the hips down, pivoting to the right. So you're now kind of towards the back left corner of the mat. Sit up tall out of the waist, and just as we did on the first side, point through the toes, plant the fingertips. You're either gonna alternate one foot and then the other foot, or you're gonna play with pulsing both feet at the same time. See if you can stay tall in the spine so you're not rounding too much forward. Last few. Breathe into this sensation and likely into the challenge. And then drop the heels back down. Point the toes up, sit tall out of the waist, and then exhale, dive the heart forward. And just as I mentioned on the first side, make sure the toes stay pointed up towards the ceiling. One more big cycle of breath. And then using an inhale to walk the hands back through center. We're gonna pivot back to the left, planting left hand at left hip. Come to the outside edge of left foot as you peel the hips off the mat, right fingertips sweep high. Fallen star. Bend into the right knee as you reach the right fingertips forward, sending the hips to the back of the mat. And then on your inhale, we'll pivot back through center, right hand plants. Left toes kick all the way back, three-legged down dog. Okay, just as we did on the first side, we're gonna play with kind of a scoop through. See if you can slow down the transition. You can always modify as you need by dropping right knee to the floor. We're gonna bend into the elbows. And then as if you're pulling the heart to the front of the room. So you have that thread that's pulling the heart through the shoulders. Roll through to your upward dog. Pause here if you can. Look over the left shoulder. Inhale back through center, glutes are engaged. Look over the right shoulder. Inhale back through center, drop the knees to the floor. And then from the tailbone, see if you can kind of articulate the vertebrae in the spine as you roll back. Shift onto the fingertips, active round through the back body. Finding your cat pose. I don't know if I'll ever stop messing those up, cat and cow. Okay, stay grounded on the knees, walk the hands back. Inhale, arms extend up overhead. Take all 10 fingers to interlace and for a moment roll out the wrists. And then flip, reverse so that the palms are up but the fingers stay interlaced. Here, see if you can pull the hands to the back of the room and then knit the rib cage in, glutes are strong. So it's not so much of a back bend as a shoulder opener to pull the fingertips towards back of the room. Keep hands exactly as they are. Shift weight into the left knee. Pull the right knee in and then step the right foot all the way forward. Hands stay interlaced, palms open up towards the ceiling, and now add on the back bend, opening the heart towards sky. Drop the hands, circling, use the full range of motion in the shoulders to circle the hands back down. Release the back bend, frame out the right foot, and take a big step forward. Uttanasana, forward fold. Clasp opposite elbows here, finding a little bit of a sway from side to side. Drop the head, maybe even find a little bit of a bounce. If you practice with me before, you know I love these. Open mouth exhale here. We'll pick up the pace soon enough. Drop the hands down, one vertebrae at a time, so we're articulating each vertebrae in the spine. Ripple all the way up like a wave rolling up the back side of the body. Arms extend up overhead at the top. On your exhale, cactus out the arms, engage the glutes, tucking the tailbone forward and that same thread of the heart through the shoulders. Release the back bend, let the exhale dive the heart forward, Uttanasana. Inhale to halfway lift, long spine, reach through the crown of the head. On your exhale, let it go. Plant the hands. Step back, high plank. Wrists underneath the shoulders. Know that knees can always drop in your plank pose if you need a bit of a modification. We're going to let the elbows graze the side bodies as we lower all the way down to the belly. Untuck the toes here. Let the hands come to a hover as you lift the heart and the toes from the floor. Squeeze the heels together. Keeping the heart lifted, reach fingertips forward. And then on your exhale, we're going to cactus out the arms, so sliding the scapula down the back body. As you do, separate the feet almost as if you're trying to bring your heels and your elbows to touch, although my guess is that is not going to happen. On your inhale, come back through center, arms extend, squeeze the heels all the way together. And then on your exhale, soften the heart to the floor, plant the hands, curl onto the toes. Knees can ground or lift as you inhale, straight body, come all the way up, high plank. We're gonna do that a couple more times, speeding it up to connect with the breath. Exhale all the way to the belly, elbows graze the rib cage. Lift palms to a hover as the heart and the heels lift. Squeeze big toes and heels together. Extend the fingertips to the front of the room. As you cactus out through the elbows, also point the toes to the back corners of the mat. Scapula roll down the back body. Inhale to come back through center, arms extend, squeeze heels together. And then on your exhale, soften the heart to the floor. Curl onto the toes. Core engages, glutes engage, press all the way up, high plank. One more time, all the way to the belly, elbows graze the rib cage. Lift the hands to a hover as toes lift, heart lifts. With your inhale, extend the fingertips forward. Exhale, cactus out the elbows, separate the toes to point towards the back corners of the mat. Maybe the heart lifts even a little bit higher. Maybe the heels lift even a little bit higher. Inhale, back through center. Squeeze everything in towards midline. And then on your exhale, release the heart. Hands plant underneath the shoulders. Curl onto the toes, but keep the knees grounded. We're gonna come up into our tabletop position. Sit back on the heels for a moment, but keep the toes tucked so that we're stretching out the bottoms of the feet. Left hand is forward. You're gonna just use the right hand to pull the left fingers back towards the body. Putting some weight on the heels. So stretching out the bottoms of the feet, swap it out. Left hand to the right, fingers, right palm presses forward, straighten out the elbows. Release the hands, untuck the toes, sitting back onto the heels. Start to lean the upper body back. Hands can be to the floor or palms can be to touch at the heart. Maybe you even play with lifting the knees up off the mat. So we're now stretching out the front of the ankles, the tops of the feet. Feet and wrists and ankles and hands can be a lot of sensations. So breathe into it. All right, come back. Knees drop. Let's come to standing on the shins. Arms extend up overhead. One more time, we're gonna interlace the hands and then palms up towards the ceiling. Lift up and out. Weight comes into the right knee. Pull the left knee into the chest. Take your time getting their left foot steps all the way forward. Okay, keep pressing the palms up towards the ceiling. And then maybe you add on the back bend here, but only go as far as feels protected in the low spine. So we never want to compromise what the body needs for the sake of a shape in the pose, a shape in the body. As you release the clasp of the hands, full range of motion in the shoulders to circle the hands behind the back. And then come through center, frame out the left foot. Kick off of the right toes to come all the way to the top of the mat, forward fold, Uttanasana. Take as much of a bend in the knees as you need to bring palms underneath the feet so that toes come into the wrist creases. Elbows to the outsides of the mat, heart tractions towards the thighs, and drop the weight of the head. Then I'm going to invite you here to shake the head, no, right and left. Use the full range of motion in the neck. Come back through center. Flip the hands around so that you're standing on the backs of the hands. And then you might even invite a bend into the elbows as if you're pulling the elbows towards the shins. Much of a bend in the knees as you need here. And be gentle with the delicacy of the wrist joints. Gently release. Ground into the heels, one vertebrae at a time. Let's roll up the spine, coming all the way up to standing. Arms reach up overhead, palms to touch. On your exhale, glutes engage, cactus out the arms as you thread the heart towards sky, shoulders onto the back body. Inhale to come back up through center, lift up and out of the waist. On your exhale, heart dives forward, Uttanasana, forward fold. Let the rebound carry you into a halfway lift. Crown of the head reaches forward. Open the mouth, exhale, let it go. Plant the hands. What I'm going to invite here is that we hop back into a chaturanga, which means that by the time your toes hit the back of the mat, the elbows are bent. So on your exhale, toes to the back of the mat, elbows bend. Pause. With your inhale, press up, high plank. Bend into the knees, pulling the hips to the heels, heart to the thighs, kind of like you're crouching above the mat. And then kick off of the toes to land in your forward fold, Uttanasana. With your inhale, keep the bend into the knees. Lift up into a chair pose. Maybe you sink even a little bit deeper. And then on your exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine, crown of the head, reach as long. Exhale to release. Plant the hands. If you've got a handstand or a float in your practice, you can add that here as well. We're going to plant the hands. By the time toes hit the back of the mat, elbows are to a 90-degree. Inhale, press up, high plank. Bend into the knees, pulling hips back towards heels, heart towards thighs. Let the exhale carry the feet forward. Again, always option to float into a handstand on the way. Bend into the knees, hips back, heart forward, arms extend. Open mouth, exhale, forward fold. One more time, inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale to release, plant the hands, chaturanga dandasana, toes to the back of the mat, and pause. Hold here, knees can drop if you need them to. Lift right toes to a hover. Right toes drop, lift left toes to a hover. Left toes drop, press up, high plank, ooh, doozy. Exhale, bend into the knees, hips back, heart back. Press the floor away. With your exhale, step, walk, hop, handstand. Meet at the top of the mat in a forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift and lengthen. Open the mouth, exhale, let it go. We're going to stay in our forward fold, but shift onto the toes so that the heels lift. You might have a little micro bend in the knees here. We want to make sure the joint space is protected. Stay on the toes if you can. We're going to roll up the spine, one vertebrae at a time, coming all the way to standing. Whoo! I fell. Arms extend up overhead at the top. As you drop the heels to the floor, palms pull to the heart center, grounding, rooting into earth. Maybe let the eyes close. We're going to start to pick up the pace a bit. Big cycle of breath. Connect to body. Let this be your practice. Okay, if you've closed the eyes, what I'm going to invite as we begin to move and as we begin to pick up the pace and add in some challenging shapes is that you allow the eyes to crack open, but that you keep the gaze really soft so that as you move, you can stay with you. So soft opening of the eyes. Let the inhale circle the arms up overhead. We're going to shift onto the toes. Start to take a bend into the knees as you lean the upper body back and reach the fingertips forward. Glutes are super strong here. Inhale to come back up through center. Arms extend, stay on the toes. Drop the heels as you pull the hands through heart center, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale to release, plant the hands. Option to add on a crow pose here. Knees to the backs of the arms, toes lift. Active press the floor away. If you're not feeling up for playing with crow pose today, you can stay in your forward fold or even a malasana. We're hanging here for about 5 cycles of breath. So imagine that the back of the heart was opening up and pressing into the space behind you. Okay, I'm going to invite something funky in. And you may need to modify. You may fall and come right back in and join us. What I'm going to invite is you start to lift the right knee off the back of the right arm and step the right toes to the back of the mat. Left knee is at the left elbow. With your inhale, kick the left toes back. 3-legged downward dog. Drop the right knee to the floor. Left toes stay lifted as you bend into the elbows. Drop the heart to the mat, left toes peel high. As you press back up, lift the right knee, left knee pulls to nose, and then step the left foot all the way through. Right foot spins flat as you peel open, come all the way to your reverse warrior. Right hand, right thigh, left arm comes up and over. As you hold the reverse, see if you can pull the left knee towards the top left corner of the mat so that the hip stays open. Inhale, warrior two, come through center, fingertips extend long. We're gonna keep the fingertips to reach. Slow down the transitions. We're gonna pivot onto the ball of the right foot, squaring the hips and shoulders to the top of the mat, and then keep rotating the upper body all the way to the left. Left knee is stacked on top of left heel. Maybe you find the reverse here, left hand to the back of the right thigh, right arm up and over. Reach the right fingertips forward and down, planting the right hand underneath the right shoulder. Left fingertips reach all the way to the front of the mat, front of the room. And then we're gonna circle the left peace fingers to hold on to the left big toe. Throwing you guys into the fire here, modify as you need. We're gonna shift our weight onto the outside edge of the right foot. Bring the leg with you. Keep the grip on the left big toe as you can. Left knee can stay bent or left leg can straighten. Bend into the right knee, dropping the hips towards the right heel at the back of the mat. And then we're gonna re-deliver the left foot to the top of the mat, but this time keep the grip on the left big toe. I'll give you a moment to catch up. Take the time that you need. We're gonna shift our weight into the left foot, kick off of the right toes, keep the grip on the left foot. We're gonna have it for a while. Come all the way forward, standing split. Grip is on left big toe. Right hand comes up to the right thigh. And point through the right toes and sweep the right foot a little bit higher. And then drop the right foot next to the left at the top of the mat. Right hand comes to the right hip. Keep the grip on the left big toe. On your inhale, we're gonna halfway lift the upper body, so spine comes parallel to the floor. And then keeping the grip on the left big toe, see if you can sweep the left leg off to the left side of the mat. Maybe right arm comes out to help your balance. Come back through center, left heel taps the floor, and then on your inhale, we're gonna drop down to a pistol squat. Keep the grip on the left big toe if you can. You can do this whole flow without the grip if you don't have the opening in the hamstrings. Okay, this is where I'm gonna make a fool of myself. We're gonna try to come all the way up to standing. You can use the right hand for a little support if you need it. Last moment with the hold on the left big toe. Whoo! Inhale, arms extend up overhead. Keep the left leg extended. Flex the left toes back. And then on your exhale, pull the heart, or pull the hands through heart center as you lever forward, warrior three. Virabhadrasana 3. Knit the rib cage up and in. Slow bend into the right knee. See if you can drop the left knee all the way to the mat. Really throwing you guys into the fire. Inhale, upper body lift, straighten through the right leg. Okay, so left knee is underneath left hip. We're gonna step the right knee underneath the right hip. Circle the hands to the low back, pressing the palms into the back body, fingers pointing down. Engage the glutes and roll the shoulders onto the back body as you peel the heart through. Camel pose. I'm having a moment of panic that I'm not gonna remember this whole thing on the other side. Inhale, come back through center. That's all right, guys, we can do it. Arms extend up overhead. Palms come through heart center as you send the hips to the heels. Maybe you close the eyes for a moment, stretching out the bottoms of the feet. I've been running a lot lately, so the bottoms of the feet are on the brain. All right, let's roll through to a tabletop position. So wrists underneath the shoulders. We're gonna lift straight into a dolphin pose by hovering the knees, straightening the legs, dropping the elbows to the floor. Heart pulls back towards thighs. And then if you've practiced with me before, we do this one a lot. Press finger pads, knuckle pads into the floor. Roll all the way through your upward dog. Or however you get there. With your exhale, send the hips up and back. Meeting in your downward facing, and take a couple cycles of breath here to pedal out the feet, to bend into one knee and then into the other knee. Open mouth, exhale. All right, on your exhale, step, walk, float, handstand, eventually feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, release. Inhale to rise, come through standing, palms to touch overhead, pause here. Feet are hip width distance. Shift your weight onto the toes, heels lift. Glutes engage, take it slow here. Bend into the knees as you lean the upper body back. Maintain the integrity of the core so that you're not dumping into the low back. Fingertips extend forward. On your inhale, come back up through center. As the heels root to the earth, pull the palms to touch through heart center and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine, crown of the head reaches. Exhale, release. Plant the hands, crow pose, Bakasana. Hands shoulder width distance, finger pads rooted to the earth. If you're building strength for crow, hang out here with toes on the floor. If you're ready, you might lift one foot, you might hover both feet. You might fall out and come back in several times. Meet yourself where you're at. If this feels pretty easy, close the eyes, or even in your crow pose, you could play with tucking the gaze, so chin in towards the chest, as if you're looking towards your belly button. Ooh, that's a fun one. Haven't done that one in a while. All right, if you've dropped the gaze, come back through neutral. We're gonna play here once again with bringing our weight into the right knee, maybe left knee hovers, and then big step to the back of the mat with the left foot, or however you get there. Right knee is to the right elbow. With your inhale, kick the right toes back, and then soften the left knee to the floor. Right toes really peel towards sky as you bend the elbows, chin and chest peel down. As you press back up, also lift the left knee from the mat, pull right knee into the chest. Press the floor away to create space for the right foot to step all the way through. Find your weight underneath the right foot first, and then on your inhale, pivot open, warrior two. Left foot spins flat. So never leave the pose before you've met the shape. We're never in any rush. Spin heart to the left just a little bit. On your inhale, reverse your warrior, left hand, left thigh, right arm up and over. Lifting up and out so that we're not collapsing into the left side body. With your inhale, come back through warrior two. Fingertips extend. Arms stay long as you pivot onto the ball of the left foot, squaring the heart, the hips, the shoulders to the top of the mat, and then keep twisting the upper body to the right. So now we're using the strength of the core to find the twist, as if you're wringing yourself out like a dish towel. Maybe you find the reverse. Right hand slides down the left thigh as left arm comes up and over. And then reach the left fingertips forward and down. Right hand sweeps high. We're going to pause in our twist for a moment. Let the right shoulder stack. And then again, I'm going to throw you guys into some fiery shapes here, but give yourself whatever modifications you need. Right peace fingers hold to the right big toe. Spin to the outside edge of left foot as you bring the right leg with you into a side plank. Maybe you play with straightening through the right leg. Maybe you bend into the left knee, sending hips back towards the left heel. As you re-straighten through the left leg, slow down this transition as much as you can. Keep the grip on the right foot as you step the right foot to the top of the mat. Okay, keep this grip. We're going to shift all the way forward, standing split. So right peace fingers around the right big toe. If you're feeling steady here enough to play a little bit more, left palm to the left thigh. One point of focus for your gaze, something that's not moving on the floor. Hopefully the floor's not moving. And then on your exhale, left foot steps next to the right. Make it sweet, like left foot is kissing the earth. Left hand to left hip. On your inhale, halfway lift the upper body, spine parallel to the floor, and then keep the integrity of the core and the rooting of the left foot, meaning the left glutes are engaged, to swing the right leg off to the right side of the mat. Left arm out to a T potentially. And then on your exhale, come right back down. Right heel taps the floor. Keep the grip on the right foot, bend into the left knee, drop the hips all the way down, finding your pistol squat. Left hand can always come to the floor or a prop for support. You can also be on the left toes if the left heel doesn't reach the floor. Left heel to the floor, I get this question a lot. That's mobility, flexibility in the left Achilles tendon and calf. So it takes time, it'll come. On your inhale, we're gonna press through the left foot, maybe with some help from the left hand to come all the way up to standing. It's okay if there's a bend in the right knee. Pull the right arm bone back so that it plugs into the shoulder socket. And then on your inhale, both arms extend up overhead. Palms gather at the heart as you lever the upper body forward, right leg kicks back, right toes point. Big inhale here, open the back of the heart to the space above, and then bend into the left knee. See if you can drop the right knee all the way to the floor. Mine wasn't pretty. On your inhale, upper body lifts. Press the hips down and forward. And then we'll straighten through the left leg, lift the left toes. So right knee should be underneath the right hip here. Left knee is going to come underneath the left hip. Hip width distance apart. Circle the hands to the low back. Fingers pointing down. Roll the shoulders onto back body as you tuck the tailbone forward and thread the heart through. Glutes are strong. With your inhale, come back up through a long spine, curl onto the toes, and drop the hips to the heels. So one last time, stretching out the bottoms of the feet. This time, left hand to the left heel. We're gonna bring right hand over to the left, kind of outer left hip. So we're twisting the upper body to the left just a little bit. And then keep this grip on the left foot if you can as you engage the glutes. Press the hips forward and circle the right arm up overhead. So it's like you're trying to twist the upper body so that the right shoulder can stack on top of the left. Come back the way you came in, so right hand to the left hip. And then we'll swap it out. Right hand to the right heel, left hand to the right hip. And then engage the glutes. We want to make sure low back is protected. On your inhale, come up, lifting the hips and circling the left fingertips to the back of the room. Twisting upper body to the right, so left shoulder to stack. And then releasing back, left hand to the right hips and the hips to the heels. Release through center, hands to the thighs. Let the eyes close. Tune into the space of the heartbeat, into the rhythmic inhale and exhale. These subtle but not so subtle reminders of your humanness. Acknowledging in the midst of a practice that is potentially physically challenging, that we're also expanding the practice inward as well. Expanding the practice in all directions. So we make space for movement and we also make space for stillness, especially if the stillness is the place that you're uncomfortable. Especially then. Open the mouth for an exhale. We're gonna softly open the eyes, stay with you. So keep the internal gaze as the eyes open softly. Shift forward into a tabletop, untuck the toes, and then you might kind of slap the tops of the feet on the floor. I don't know a pretty way to describe that, but it feels good. All right, let's tuck onto the toes. Send the hips back. Downward dog, pedal out the feet. Bending into right knee, into left knee. And on your next inhale, let's sweep the right toes high. Bend into the knee to open the hip. And then as if I press the slow motion on the TV, come all the way to Wild Thing with the added challenge of maybe dropping to the top of the right foot and peeling the heart through. Maybe the right hand circles around to reach for the right knee. All our options. And then circling the right arm back in front of you, as you come back through center, the right hand is gonna plant on the mat. Bring the right knee to the left elbow. With your inhale, kick all the way back, three-legged down dog. On your exhale, right knee into the chest, step the foot all the way through between the hands. Crown of the head reaches forward. We're gonna bring arms out to a T. So pull the shoulders onto the back body, lift the belly off of the right thigh so that the core has some integrity here. We're gonna pivot to the left into a Skandasana. Arms stay to a T, come to the bottom of the left foot, the ball of the right foot. And then warrior two to the back of the mat. So I might be turning you away from the computer, that's fine. We'll make our way back. Right foot spins parallel. And then on your inhale, straighten through the left leg, parallel out the feet, arms extend up overhead. With your exhale, hands through heart center, dive forward. Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-legged forward fold. So I had some questions about headstand. This is one of those shapes that is a great place to play with headstand if that's something that you're working on in your practice. So you can either hang out right here in your wide forward fold, or you can create a basket with the hands. So kind of interlacing the fingers. And I like to make sure that the bottoms of my fists are flat. So rather than creating kind of like an awkward shelf with the pinkies, tucking them in so that the basket is flat. Crown of the head to the floor. Press into the elbows, shift into the toes. Maybe this is where you hang out, or maybe you start to play with hovering the feet. And you could even hover and then drop back down, or maybe you play with coming up. You could bend into the knees. You could tuck the knees in. You could straighten the legs up. If you're straight, glutes are strong, core is strong. And then what I'm gonna encourage is that the transition down is just as juicy. So reversing the float down, and maybe even hovering the feet off the floor for a moment before eventually planting all the way down. On your inhale, halfway lift, long spine. If you're still playing, continue to play. Play is always encouraged, no matter what. On your exhale, pivot to the top of the mat, both hands on the inside of the right foot. So we've made it back to the front of the mat. Drop the left knee down. We're gonna open the heart to the front of the room. Ground into the left knee, lift the left heel if it's available, and then maybe right hand reaches to hold on to the left foot. Dropping the left toes if you've got them. Both hands back down to the floor, maybe this time coming down onto forearms, maybe rolling to the outside edge of the right foot, and then pulling the right the right knee to the right shoulder. And then using an inhale, press back up to the hands, lift the left knee from the floor, and we're gonna straighten out through the right leg, sending the hips back. Maybe grounding into the right heel and lifting right toes up off the mat. Let's drop the right toes back down, step the left foot forward, Malasana Yogi Squat. Palms come to touch at the heart. Let's, for a moment, you've probably done these with me before. If you've practiced with me before, we're going to drop the hips all the way to the floor. And then heels and heart come to all the way down to a hover. Arms extend forward, palms face up. Pull the knees into the chest. Keep the shoulders to a hover. And then straighten the legs up towards the ceiling. Slow motion, roll all the way to plow pose. So you're using the strength and the integrity of the core rather than any momentum. Head and neck stay in line with the spine. We're going to play with rolling all the way forward and either come into a forward fold or catching a crow pose. So rolling down the spine, knees bent, plant the feet, knees to the backs of the arms, heels squeeze in. We're going to do that a couple more times. If handstand is in your practice, you can go there as well. So drop the toes to the floor. Hips to the mat as you send the heels and heart to a hover, arms extend long. Knees pull in, straighten the legs, use the strength of the core to roll into a plow pose. On your exhale, one vertebrae at a time, roll down the spine, Bend into the knees, shift forward, either straight to crow or handstand or forward fold if you're ready to start slowing down. Drop the toes to the floor. Drop the heels to the floor, lower down, low boat. Pull the knees into the chest. Roll over to your plow pose, toes behind the head. And then one vertebrae at a time, start to roll down. This time we're gonna meet in our down dog. So you can either plant the feet, crow pose, plant the hands, handstand. Make something up along the way. You can step back, you can hop back. You can play with the one-legged crow like we were doing earlier. It can be sloppy. Mine just was, certainly. And then eventually hips up and back, downward dog. Last sequence before we start to slow it down, we have the second side to play with. On your inhale, left toes, sweep high. Start here just by bending the knee and opening up the hip. And then slow motion, we're rolling into our wild thing. See if you can bring the top of the left foot to the floor, so the toenails to the floor. Stretching at the top of the foot, the ankle. Press hips high, heart peels through the shoulders. As you come back through center, so take your time, left hand is gonna plant to the top of the mat as left knee comes across the body to the right elbow. With your inhale, left toes kick high. On your exhale, left knee into the chest. Make space by pressing the floor away. Step the left foot all the way through. You know what? Shoot, I forgot something. We're gonna play reverse a little bit. Plant the hands, kick the left toes back, three-legged down dog. Soften the right knee to the floor. As you bend into the elbows, left toes lift. This is our last time here. We've been here lots. As you press back up, lift the right knee and pull left knee to nose. Now we press the floor away, creating space to step the left foot all the way through. Coming into our power lunge, so crown of the head is gonna stay reaching forward, shift forward on the right big toe, and then arms come out to a T. Take the hands into fists. Let's roll out the wrists for a moment. We've been on the wrists a lot. Switch direction of the circles. Pull the belly off of the thigh to keep some integrity in the core. As you pivot to the right, hips land on top of the left heel, Skandasana. Right toes point up. Hips sink low. Peel to the back of the mat, warrior two. Right toes plant, left foot is parallel. And spin the upper body to the left as the right knee opens up to the right. With your inhale, straighten out through the right leg. Feet parallel to each end of the mat. Fingertips extend. Hands come through heart center as you dive forward, forward fold. I'm moving around so that you're not getting a view of my butt. All right. Heart pulls back between the thighs. If you want to play with your headstand, again here you could create that basket. You could bring the head into the basket, shift your weight into the toes. If you're playing with me in headstand, we're going to play with a couple of presses up. So swinging the legs out and up, engage the glutes, find the integrity in the core. And then reverse the press just as slowly, just as mindfully back down. Tap only the big toes, and then come right back up. Move with your own pace, it's okay if you're not with me. Reverse the press down. Tap only the big toes, and then come right back up. We're gonna do two more. Reverse the press. Tap the toes. Come all the way back up. Last one, reverse the press. Pause when the big toes are to a hover above the mat. If this feels easy, close the eyes. Find integrity in the shoulders, so press the floor away. And then drop the feet all the way down. On your inhale, halfway lift. With your exhale, pivot back to the top of the mat, both hands on the inside of the left foot. Right knee drops down. You can either hang out here, or you can bend into the right knee, or you can reach the left hand around for the right toes. Let the heart peel open. So you could even find some what's the word I'm looking for? You could push into the left hand with the right foot, some tension, that's the word. And release the right toes, circle left hand back underneath left shoulder. You can either stay on the hands or you can lower down to forearms. Or bring forearms to a prop. Maybe here you bring palms to face up towards ceiling. And then drop the head, chin in towards chest. Inhale to press back up to the hands. Lift the right knee. Step forward, Malasana Yogi Squat. Hips drop, elbows to the knees, hands to the heart. Let tailbone root down and let the eyes close. So crown of the head reaches high. Letting body know that we're going to start to slow things down, start to work our way down in the practice, in the movement piece of the practice. You have one more opportunity to play along the way if you'd like it. So with a soft gaze, you could plant the hands and add in a crow pose. You could add in a couple hops towards handstand. If there's another arm balance or a variation or shape that you want to play with, or if you want to hang out in your Malasana squat for a bit longer, even right here, hands rooted to earth. It's a place of grounding. An advanced practice does not always mean handstands or crazy shapes. Sometimes it's this ability to root and to ground and to connect. Give yourself what you need. The next place we'll meet is in our down dog. So I always like to give opportunities to play so that this practice can be yours. If you don't know what to do, make something up. If that makes you agitated that I'm not telling you something to do, make something up. Make it yours. We'll meet in a downward dog. Alrighty, let's start to take it down. We're going to drop knees to the floor, cross over the ankles, and come all the way into a seat. Legs extended out long in front of you. Pull the toes back so you're sitting up tall out of the waist, and then inhale to extend arms up overhead, keeping this length in the spine. On your exhale, fold forward. So toes are peeling back towards the face, and heels are kicking to the front of the mat. And then drop the head so you're letting the chin pull in towards chest. And staying folded forward on your exhale, let's walk both hands off to the right side of the mat. As you do, make sure that the left glute, the left sit bone, stays in engagement with the mat. And then walking hands back through center and with an exhale over to the left. So it's almost like you're kind of spinning the right hip towards the back of the mat and twisting the upper body to the left. And then inhale to come back through center. Let's inhale, upper body lifts. We're going to plant the hands underneath the shoulders. Legs stay straight, but separate the feet to about hip width distance. And then we're going to ground into the heels and lift the hips, point the toes forward. So a reverse plank. Glutes are super strong here. Pull the shoulders onto the back body. And then bend into the knees. Send the hips towards the heels at the top of the mat, bringing some stretch into the wrists and into the shoulders. And then drop the feet, lift the hips, reverse table. And I have to walk my heels in a little bit so that they're hip width distance and underneath the knees. All right, let's ground into the left heel, right toes lift. Can either stay here or left hand could reach for the outside of the right foot. And come back through center. We'll swap it out. Left toes lift, either hang out here or right hand reaches for the outside of left foot. Inhale back through center, hips lift. We're going to stay on the left foot. If it's available for you, bring the right knee to the floor and find a little bit of a shift forward and back. It might just be the tiniest movement. And then come back through center, right foot plants. Last one, drop left knee to the floor. So you're kind of engaging into the left hamstrings and lengthening the left quads. Come back through center, left foot plants. Really press the hips up, glutes engage. And then on your exhale, soften the hips down. Sit up tall out of the waist here, so long spine, and then wrap the arms around the knees, clasping opposite elbows. Active round through the back body. Chin in. Back of the heart opens up. One more time, let's drop the hands underneath the shoulders, this time crossing right ankle over the left knee. You can walk the left foot forward if you need to for that to become possible. But then start to walk the chest in, so it's kind of like a seated pigeon shape. And then on an exhale, pivot the legs to the left so that the bottom of the right foot comes to the floor. And then the left elbow to the outside of the right knee, twist the upper body to the right. And releasing the twist. Left hand plants, release through center. And then we'll swap it out. Right foot plants, left ankle stacks on top of the right knee. And then really invite, with a tall spine, the heart towards the left leg. And on your exhale, drop the legs over to the right. Right elbow to the outside of left knee, twist the upper body to the left. So as if you're trying to peel the heart to the back of the room. And inhale to release through center. Unravel the legs, plant the feet, and just windshield wiper legs from side to side. And making your way back through neutral. What I'm going to offer to finish out the practice is that you either come down into Shavasana, lying on your back, or that you find a seat for a seated meditation. I am going to find a seated meditation. You can sit up onto something. You could grab a prop or a bolster or a blanket. Whatever shape you land in, let it be comfortable for the physical body and allow the eyes to close. And I really, really, really encourage that if you feel the temptation to finish your practice here and skip out on these last moments of pause, these last moments of integration, if you feel the impulse to stop the practice now, maybe get curious as to what might open up for you if you stayed for these last 2, maybe 3 minutes. It's a blink of time. It's a blink of time, and also it sets the foundation for how you will move through the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, the rest of your week, weekend. And how you move through the world, how you engage with yourself, that is the most important thing that you do. And as I've spoken to you in this practice, as we find challenging or quote unquote advanced postures and sequences and shapes, can we expand the practice in all directions so that we're also spending more time in this pause? You might, if it helps you stay right here, you might bring awareness into the breath, the lungs, the heart, this physical body-mind unit that is you. Notice where you can soften. Are you tensing in the jaw or in the shoulders or in the eyelids? Even in that space where the eyelids meet, can you soften there? And we're working towards this practice both on our mats, in our bodies, and also out in the world, where we are neither clinging, tensing, gripping onto anything. And we're also not averting and pushing away and disassociating, but that we move from this space in the middle where we're connected to present and we're engaging with our lives, but also not clinging to it. Also acknowledging that it's all fleeting, and because it's fleeting, because it's all temporary, that's why it is so important to show up. So that's the invitation as you move out into whatever comes after this practice, this moment, that you continue to show up to this breath. And then this one. Invite in a little bit of a bigger inhale. A longer exhale. And if you're lying on your back in Shavasana, you could wiggle fingers, wiggle toes, starting to slowly and with ease make your way back up into a comfortable seat and meeting me here. And don't rush this part. Keep the eyes closed for as much of the transition as you can. Keep the focus on this in-breath and the out-breath, this cyclical rhythm of you meeting world and world meeting you. Hands can either meet in front of the heart space or they can stay resting wherever they are at. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for moving with me, for practicing with me, for sitting with me. And if you made it all the way to the end and you sat through Shavasana, thank you. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. As always, there are new videos every week. Send me your requests or comment them below, and we will play.